Yo, 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 good morning, good morning. It's Monday, and we're back, y'all. It's a time for the morning leap. I pray that y'all have had a good weekend. I know we did. If you were at We Church, and you already know we had a good weekend. I pray that all of you guys are well. I pray that you have given up the thanks due to the Lord this morning. I also pray that you have experienced some good sleep, some good rest. If you have not, we're going to pray over that today. I am so grateful that all of you have joined me in this room today as we get ready to take our morning leap. It's a show that we do every morning, weekly at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time as we look to answer the call. We look to say yes to God on the assignment on our lives. And so it takes a community to do it. And sometimes we have to do it scared, but we're going to answer the call. Amen. So I'm grateful for life and health and strength this morning. I pray that you are thankful for the same, that you are alive for a reason, that God woke you up this morning, man. That matters. Y'all know that matters, right? That matters, that God would get us up. I love it. I love it. We about to get it cracking this morning. We're going to talk about the power of saying yes. I found a very interesting article, and I cannot wait to talk about that. But let me say what's up to all my people, all my cliff jumpers in the room, man. It's so good. Mitra's always in the room. I love it, Mitra. Good morning. I hope you're off today. I think the banks are off today. I hope you get some good rest today. Be able to get your body right and enjoy your day off. Actually, I see you definitely need fuel for this day. I am tired. Listen, my wife had to get me because I was like, man, I'm out of it. Mama Rose is in the building. What's up? Good morning, Cece. I see you. Good morning, Jada. I see you. Good morning to you, Steph. I see you as well. Barry Nelson. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Barry. Please forgive me. I don't know if it's Barry or Barry, but good morning to you either way. My boy Ken, so good to see you. Tanisha, good morning to you. My boy Brandon in the building. What's good? Puerto Rico. What's going on? I see Charging Faith Ministries. I'm not sure the name, but good morning to you, woman of God. Chandalyn, so good to see you. I see you, PD, with 100%. We got 100 subscribers? I didn't even know we had 100 subscribers. Look at the line. Yo, I did not check the subscriber count. Y'all forgive me. I try not to check the numbers because I'd be getting nervous, man. But that's what's up. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. We made it to 100 in 2 weeks, man. I love it. My boy Nick, praying for your health, buddy. My beautiful, amazing wife, y'all, she took it back yesterday at church. Y'all, if y'all get a chance to go watch We Church on YouTube, please go do it. Hey, y'all, let's leap. That's right. Sammy Bammy, good morning, Cliff Jumpers. It's Monday. She had a birthday coming up, by the way. We got to make sure we celebrate. The Bassett family, that's what's up. Good morning, everyone. Look, y'all, my brother's in the building. My brother Daryl Walls is in the building. I love leaping in the morning. I'm telling you. And after this, I'm about to go get my exercise on because I need it. Amen. 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 I so love that you play music every morning. You know, I like playing the music. It feels good. It feels good. Shout out to 100 subscribers morning. That's what's up. Anastasia, Cliff Jumpers, what's up? Charging Faith is my boy. Oh, that's what's up. I love it. Okay. All right. Y'all, let me tell you something. What I'm particularly excited about is I woke up on Saturday, right after Valentine's Day, and it was the 15th. And I thought to myself, I said, wow, man. I said, look at how much we've accomplished in just a month and a half. And I thought about not only that we've endured, right? Not only the things that have been going on in the nation, things that have been going on in the world, but just the ability to kind of get into the year, the ability to say yes to a few things already. Many of you have already said yes to God on several fronts, and I don't want to diminish it. I want you guys to stop and pause for a moment and say, it's only been about 45 days, 60 days or so, and we have already started this journey right. Some of y'all did the fast. Some of you guys fasted with your church or with our church. You did 3 weeks worth of fasting. Look, I want you to pause and think to yourself, I have already started to set the tone for the year. You have already began to give God your yes. And listen, we're going to do it faith by faith. We're going to do it glory to glory. We're going to do yes every single day. Single steps is what we're doing. And so today is another opportunity to add to that momentum of your yes. I was reading an article, and I want to read it to y'all because it was fascinating to me. In this article, because I was taking a look in Exodus 3 and 4. And I was looking at this dude Moses. And when I'm looking at Moses, what was interesting was the amount of excuses this man had when God chose him. It's baffling. If you read all of chapter 3 and majority of chapter 4, The whole conversation between Moses and God is Moses making excuses and God giving him answers. And all God asked him to do was essentially one thing: go get my people. But Moses had a plethora of excuses about why he could not do it, why he should not do it. And he asked a question in the middle of that. He goes, well, what if? He asked the question, he asked God, well, what if this happens? What should I do then? And it, it made me think about us, you and I. It made me think about the simplicity of God's commands towards us, or the simplicity of God's request. I hate saying that God's requesting it because he's the master of the universe, but the truth of the matter is he really is giving us the option to say yes or no. And he literally is asking us to do simple things, but the amount of excuses. Now, I was being a little judgmental when I read it. I was being judgmental. I was like, man, this dude Moses is talking to the master of the universe. He's talking to the God of the Torah and the prophets. He's talking to the one who created him, breathed life into man, and yet and still, he is still having excuses. Now, here's what's interesting. That simple moment of obedience, in case you guys haven't read it, go back, read Exodus 3, read Exodus 4. Let that be your prayer time today. But Moses had already committed a murder. Moses had already moved out of the palace. Moses had ran away from Egypt. And God meets him at his lowest spot. Now, if God were to meet us where we are, in the middle of our distress, in the middle of our despair, and he takes aside time from monitoring the universe to focus in on little old us, to have a conversation with us, it would behoove us to at least give him a yes. Now, here's what's interesting. Moses ends up doing what God asked him to do, but Moses had no idea the journey he was getting ready to go on, nor did he know that that simple yes at the burning bush, when the Lord asked him to go get his people, that one little yes led to a lifetime of his name having a legacy and being made famous. So much is so, watch this, the first 5 books of the Bible that we read, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, were written by this man. This man was not just chosen to go get the people, he was chosen to kick off the 66 books of the Bible. That simple yes led to miracles in the wilderness. It led to miracles at the Red Sea. It led to salvation of millions. It led to his name being mentioned amongst all of his people for generations to come. Even when Jesus was transfiguring on the mountain, it said Moses was there. I'm saying his name was made famous off of one yes. And yes, we talk about the disobedience. And yes, we talk about him not making it into the promised land. But there's no real other person in the Old Testament who wrote as many books as him. He was basically Paul for Old Testament writing. All because he said yes. You don't realize the ripple effect of your yes. You keep saying no because you're thinking about the right now of what he's asking you to do. And you keep ignoring the fact that if God is asking you to do something now, it is going to echo throughout the generations. Your children's children will talk about this moment of your obedience. This moment of your obedience will be spoken about for generations. Ruthie Mae Johnson said yes to going to nursing school while she was a single mom of 6 children, 5 boys, 1 girl. She had a dog that was the babysitter for her children while she went to work during the day, medical school at night to become a registered nurse later on. I speak about that testament as her grandchild. I speak about that even to our own children. I speak to it to myself. Her yes in that moment snatches away my excuse to say no to God now. If she can raise 6 kids and go to medical school, what is my excuse? What I'm saying is your yes snatches away the opportunity for a future excuse. So there are people who are going to have a response just like Moses, just like we did. They're going to want to say no to God. The difference for Moses is he did not have a lineage of people who said yes. He was too far removed from that. But us, we have forefathers in the faith. You have people in your family. You have friends that you glean from. You have examples that are right now in your life of people who said yes and you benefited from it. Your life is no different. Your life is no different. Look at this article. It was so interesting. Excuse me. There's this thing called the fear of saying yes. So I don't know if you guys ever heard of fear of missing out, FOMO. Well, there is an actual phenomenon called FOSSI. So it is the fear of saying yes. In a survey of 2,000 British from one poll, psychologist Emma Kinney found that fear of saying yes is a common phenomenon. Here it is, linked to the emotions we experience when faced with opportunities that push us outside our comfort zone. When there is a chance we might be judged or we have preconceived ideas that we are not good at something, our instinctive reaction is to say no, even if it's something we want to do. When we take on new experiences, we grow in courage, develop personal resilience, which increases our confidence and self-esteem, making life feel altogether more rewarding. Now, there's a couple of things in this article that I want to point to real quick. That by itself was insane, right? That's incredible. Just to think about that there is something that we want to do, but this idea, here's the key here. She said there's a preconceived idea. I love that. The preconceived idea that we are not good at something. What that insinuates, that idea of preconception is it would be the equivalent of you being pregnant and then projecting what the baby would be before it's born. That's what preconception essentially would be. Is that in our mind, we have birthed it in our imagination before we've birthed it physically in the earth. So the preconception is not real. It is something that we are conjuring. So it goes, listen, so in this thing, they said that this whole phenomenon is tied to the idea that people's imaginations run so wild that they expect failure before they birth it. So in other words, you actually have control over what you're going to conceive by your preconception. What if the difference between how you're viewing your future versus what you're birthing in your future is just the idea of saying yes? What she was saying here, what the psychologist was saying here was, when you say yes, you create a trend that then begins to change your imagination. So in other words, you start building self-confidence and assurance because you said yes and went for it. You start having a different idea about what the future will look like on the next time you say yes. It's almost like when you get on a roller coaster and you're terrified to get on the roller coaster, but you get on it anyway. You're nervous and you're riding, and then when you get off the ride, you want to ride it again. Well, why were you afraid the first time, but you were excited the second time? Because you went through it the first time and realized you didn't die. What I'm saying for many of you is because you keep saying no, your confidence never builds, your assurance never builds. You never get a chance to see your faith grow because you never say yes. But if you say yes that one time, it can create a momentous occasion for you that the next time God asks you to do something, instead of you preconceiving an imagination of a future that doesn't exist, you can think about a past victory that does exist that will give you the confidence to go forward. This morning, your job is to say yes to the simple thing. Get on the roller coaster. Ride it out. I'm saying you have a Moses-type anointing on your life. I know it sounds crazy because you're like, nobody's writing my name in the Bible. I know you're thinking that. Uh-oh. Come on, camera. There we go. I know you're thinking that you're not as significant because God didn't speak to you at no burning bush. But God will speak to you at your bedside. He will. God will speak to you at your bedside. He'll speak to you while you're sitting at the table. He'll talk to you when you're in your cubicle or when you're arriving to work or when you're going to the gym. He will meet you. Just because the bush isn't burning doesn't mean that it's not important. Where God meets you, it's intentional. The reason why he met Moses at a burning bush is because Moses thought he had escaped his responsibility by leaving Egypt. Think about this. Think about this. Moses was in position, growing up in Pharaoh's house, to be a leader in Egypt. He was going to have power like Joseph had power. He was going to have power to make decisions even on behalf of his people. He forfeited that right because his emotions got in the way and he murdered someone. But notice how God did not disqualify him from that, even though Moses tried to run from that. Many of you have already disqualified yourself from a future that God has for you because of some previous mistake. God is not disqualifying you. You're disqualifying yourself. And God will meet you at the place that you feel like you've escaped your responsibility because you messed up, and he will snatch you out of that to bring you back to him. He will snatch you out of that to bring you back to what you were born to do. What you were born to do is your responsibility, not your optionality. You cannot, it's not an option. The assignment on your life is not an option. You will never feel fulfilled until you say yes. Do you realize that? You could literally have everything. Literally, you could have everything and still not feel fulfilled because the only thing that's going to satisfy your soul is doing what you were created to do by God Himself. So here's my question for you today. Here's my question for you today. What is the preconceived idea that you have about this week? What is the preconceived idea? What is it that you think is going to fail before you birth? What are you trying to abort this week? My son is taking swimming classes, and I was telling him when my parents had me taking swim classes, they used to do it at the high school. I was in elementary school, and at the high school they have a high dive, and I'm not sure if this was actually smart, legal. I don't even know if this is legal, but the way that the first lesson that they do at the swim school was they take you to the high dive and they make you jump off the high dive. They make you jump off the high dive, whether you can swim or not. Now, they had people in the pool who will catch you and get you in the whole nine, but the first thing they attack is your fear. They don't teach you technique. They don't teach you skill. They don't teach you how to doggy paddle, none of that. The first thing they go after is your fear. And my dad videotaped it. I'm sure it's somewhere at my parents' house, but this video, I remember watching back that video because a line of us got to the top and we got on the high dive, and I saw myself on the video go all the way across that diving board, get to the ledge, look down, and turn back around and go back down the stairs. I never jumped that day. And I don't regret it. I don't regret it at all. But it was interesting to watch myself at that young age get to the top and say yes all the way up until the point where my yes had to have action. And when I looked down, I said, this is not worth it. Now, my father's from the military, so we had a pool at home. This is part of the reason why he wanted me to learn, because he did not want to have a pool at the house and just have me willy-nilly. One night, the whole family was around the pool. I have not completed swimming classes. My dad picks me up and throws me in the deep end. Our deep end was 12 feet. Threw me in the deep end at night. No lifeguards, nothing. And here's what's crazy. My dad couldn't swim. Diabolical. Threw me in. When he threw me in, I felt like I was going to die. I felt like I was going to die. I did. I thought it was over. I immediately began to swim and trying to get back to the surface of what I could see by moonlight. My sisters swam over and pulled me to the side. I must have hated my dad for about 3 weeks. I must have hated my dad for like 3 weeks. I didn't understand why he would do that until it was time for me to go back to swim class. And I had to get back on that high dive. To be my dad's first tussle. I got back on that high dive and I jumped with no problem. The reason why I was able to jump with no problem is because, here it is, what I found out later is my dad had already told the family what he was getting ready to do. He had already told my sisters, be ready to go get your brother. I'm going to get the fear out of him now. He goes, I'm not going to let my son be embarrassed again. That was his big thing. My son's not going to be embarrassed again. In private, I'm going to get the fear out of him. So when he gets back there in public, he won't freeze. So he surrounded me with my sisters, who all knew how to swim and who were all older than me. And in private, what felt like was punishment was God extracting the thing that was blocking me. It's my dad he was getting it out of me, the thing that was blocking me from accomplishing what I needed to accomplish. I know it feels like God has been harsh with you in this previous season, but God has to get the fear out of you so that your yes can be pure. God is not going to let you be embarrassed by another failure. So God will work with you, watch this, and you are surrounded by cliff jumpers in this community who understand that even though you feel like you're drowning, you are surrounded. And you are going to accomplish exactly what God has called you to accomplish, and he will not let you be embarrassed in public again. Now, what's funny is I have the videotape of me walking away. I do not have the videotape of me doing it. I don't have the videotape of me jumping. I do have the videotape of me getting up there and freezing and failing. But I don't need the tape of me doing it. Why? Because at my grown age, I can swim. In other words, the only testimony that I need is the fact that I'm currently doing it. I can currently swim. So regardless of what that tape says when I was young, in my adult age, I can swim. So clearly something happened between when I failed and where I am now. What I'm saying is if you give God enough time, I don't care what your memory is telling you, you're going to look at your life and notice that the very thing you were afraid to do, you're going to be actively doing it. And this is going to be the year. You will not be embarrassed. Do you hear me? Do not look at this week as a potential embarrassment. I know you may have failed in the past. I know you may have froze and said no in the past. This will not be that year. You will swim. You will leap. You will live by faith. It's the only way to please the Father. And he's going to get that fear out of you one way or another, Moses. He's going to get it out of you. And all those excuses can exist up there. He's going to eliminate every excuse this year. You will leap. That you will do. You're going to jump. You're going to swim. You're going to live. And let me use a word that's probably going to trigger some of y'all. You are going to prosper. You're going to prosper. You're going to. Because it's a part of your DNA. It's a part of who you are. You're not going to stay in this spot forever. You're not going to stay in this spot forever. I know the money ain't right. You ain't going to stay in that spot forever. I know emotions are everywhere. You're not going to stay in that spot forever. This chapter is not the last chapter. It is a moment in time on a videotape to remind you of where you started so that when you look up in 2026, you'll see how far you've come. Remind yourself. It's only been a month and a half, and look at how much God has already started doing in you. Some of y'all done had some hard conversations already. Some of you guys have already done some things that you thought you would never do. You've accomplished some things you thought you could never accomplish, and you're still in the process of doing that. If you're already doing that in the middle of this Black History Month, what do you think the summer gonna look like? What do you think the fall gonna look like? Are you crazy? I know what the enemy telling you. I know what the enemy telling you. The enemy is telling you that this year is gonna look like last year. Not so. The key to all of Moses' excuses, what God's response was to all of Moses' excuses was this: I am with you. You know how dope that is? So instead of me thinking about getting on that high dive by myself, the Lord says, I'll get up there with you. Instead of me thinking about jumping by myself, the Lord's like, I'll jump with you. I am with you. If you don't get nothing else out of today, get that simple fact. The Lord is with you. You will not fail. You will not fall. You will not drown. And you will not die. And with that being said, do your due diligence today to say yes. Do your due diligence to get out there and do what you've been called to do. And at the end of the day, you're getting ready to see the glory of the Lord. Let's go out there and make a fool of the enemy, huh? Let's prove the enemy wrong where we used to say no. We got a room full of people getting ready to say yes. I cannot wait to see y'all tomorrow. We're going to continue on this train of saying yes, of trusting God and saying yes to the assignment. Join me tomorrow in the virtual sanctuary, okay? Meet me in here, 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. I love y'all. Let's leap.